Hey, I'm Isaac.
And I'm Casey.
And this is Mind Over Movies.
Hey,
Yes, it's a new
I'm
podcast.
Isaac.
And I'm Casey.
You were probably
And
thinking, you
this
don't have
week-
enough
Well,
white
welcome
males.
back. What is up?
Gonna be
To the
treated
Hate
Marvel
family.
Mind Over-
This is your favorite podcast.
Mind Over
Marvel time. Marvel time. Where we get right into the juicy bits and the things that you guys want to talk about. For our first theory of the day, we're back.
Dun 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 dun. It's the 50th
50
one.
is. Woo! Can we get some applause in the audience?
Yeah. Guys, always with this live studio audience supporting us like no other. I mean, this show is just not the same without those classic interactions.
Yeah, for real.
Can we get one word from the audience?
Bird! Bird is the word! Bird's the word. The word's bird. Bird.
That was a good word.
That was a good word. And I personally think that we should kill that guy now.
I think we should
No,
too.
please.
All right, we got our dead studio audience member out of the way.
Yeah, you know that we had to bring that back for the big 5-0.
The big 5-0.
And don't worry, there's going to be lots and lots of callbacks. Get ready for Isaac reading an excerpt straight from the Warrior Cats and Casey putting on a giant L costume all within this hour.
Within this hour.
So stay tuned for the big special 5-0.
5-0.
We've been doing this a year.
We have. It's exciting. It's a milestone. It is a 1 milestone, or a half a milestone, I guess. It's 50th episode.
Oh, yeah. No, I feel like you can split it up. You know, they're both milestones.
That's true.
50.
Well, 50 in
that
1
milestone.
year.
100 in another, maybe.
Yeah, bro. This, 1 whole year on today.
Yeah,
is
really.
when
This
yeah,
is
today was
the
when we
day we're
started.
recording, and maybe the day it'll release. Who knows?
Yeah. So,
knows?
November 23rd. Wow. I cannot believe that every single week, well, just about every single week, we sat down in front of a microphone and talked about cinema, baby.
I know. It flew by, too.
It did.
And I feel like we're at risk now of repeating stuff that we've already talked about. You know, that was something that I couldn't have imagined at the start of this, but now we have 50 hours at least of us talking about fucking movies, TV shows, life in general. I mean, I swear if we don't cover just about everything there is to the world by the 100th episode, I don't know what we're doing wrong.
Do you think we'll ever stop doing this at a certain episode number? We'll just decide it like, oh yeah, at episode 325, that'll be our last episode ever.
Yeah, as long as it's just like obligatory and like randomly assigned. Like, I don't want any sentimental value behind it. I also don't want any kind of like cliche number like, oh, they should cut it off at like 69 or 420. You know, like,
Yeah.
just end it like at a random number that we'll just decide today maybe. So what number are you feeling like? Let's negotiate when we stop doing this.
You want to go 220, 225?
Let's say 250.
250? All right.
So that way we can say, oh yeah, if you gave us like $1,000, we could give you a quarter of that in podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So you heard it here first, folks. You have till 250 to enjoy Mind Over Movies, and that's set in stone now.
It is. We just etched it on these 2 tablets.
Indeed.
Yeah.
250 episodes. I think we can get it all
I think
in.
we can do it. Yeah. We got 150 more to go. Or, I mean, that's wrong. We have 200 more to go.
Yeah,
So
we
I can't
sure do.
math.
Yeah. Oh my God, Casey. Hey, since you can't do math, you probably studied the arts. So, I mean, did you study the arts this week by watching film?
I did. So I watched a heaping pile of movies, kind of like last week, but I'll only talk about the ones that really stuck out to me.
Okay.
So I watched, one of the ones I watched was Climax. Fucking crazy film. I don't really have much else to say about it except that I gave it 4.5 stars because I loved it, and basically I was sitting there with my mouth agape, drooling for the last hour of it because it's absolutely insane. Have you seen Climax?
I have not seen Climax.
God,
It's
bro.
one that I've wanted to catch. So.
It's crazy stuff. And then I watched Dead Poets Society for the first time.
Oh yeah, that one's great.
I loved it. It was great. Good time.
They're like surprisingly emotional. You know, like
Yeah.
I remember seeing it for the first time and being like, oh, I didn't realize there was a whole like subject matter in this movie.
Yeah.
That's really depressing.
It is. It's got a sort of a downer ending, but the whole film's great.
Yeah.
And then I watched probably my favorite watch of the entire week is Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Oh, I still haven't seen that.
Man, you need to get around to it because I thought my top 10 of 2019 list was solidified. Nah, fam, this is like top 4 of that list. Like,
Oh shit.
I'm gonna have to go back and add it. It's so fucking good. I thought I knew what I was getting into, and I actually turns out I had no idea what I was getting into. It's such a great film. It did win the Palme d'Or at Cannes, but probably should have won something at the Oscars. I'm not gonna lie. Parasite taking home Best Picture is still probably the best choice, but let me tell you, I would have been worried that this would have won over Parasite. Like, honestly, it's so fucking good. It's so good.
Damn. Okay.
And then I made some people mad on Twitter by giving Perfect Blue a not so good score.
I feel like it's not really your score; it's your review. Would you care to read it for the class?
Oh yeah, I'll read the. All right.
Well, let's see if it sounds better when you speak it.
While the animation and score are utterly brilliant, the screenplay is horrendous, with the exception of a few visual cues, followed by realizations that really slap you in the face once or twice. It just felt half-baked. Too much is going on to focus on one particular thing, and every few minutes is whiplash of the mind, but not even in a good way. It really challenges your decision on clicking play. We'll probably revisit the soundtrack often, but that's about it. Just not that interesting story-wise at the end of the day. But damn, the visuals are really something to see. Still sound bad.
Yeah. I reckon.
I'll expand just a little bit. I really was impressed by when it started. Like the first 40 minutes, I'm really into it, and I'm following it pretty well. And I think the animation is probably the best thing going for it at the moment. I'm like, wow, this is really fucking beautifully animated, and the score is great. You know, the whole aesthetic is there. And then just at the midpoint of the movie, I start thinking, man, what the fuck is this? Like, this is getting kind of boring. This is not making much sense. And then I remembered that Darren Aronofsky had to get the rights to this movie to make Black Swan, which is a movie that I gave 5 stars. Let me tell you, I don't understand why he had to purchase the rights for Perfect Blue, because Black Swan maybe takes one idea from Perfect Blue, and that's it. Because, the movies are nothing alike, in my opinion. When I got to the end...
Other than remaking, the bathtub scene shot for shot.
The bathtub scene?
Yeah, in Perfect Blue, he bought the rights for it specifically for that scene. He needed Natalie Portman's, Isn't there a bathtub scene in Black Swan? I still haven't seen it, but...
I don't know which... I can't think of the bathtub scene in Perfect Blue. Which bathtub scene? Where she...
Uh-oh. He didn't watch the movie, folks.
I did watch the movie, but...
Busted!
What bathtub scene are you... Is it a spoil? It's a spoiler, so we can't...
No, it's not a spoiler. It's just where she's in the tub. Well, fuck. I thought I knew what scene I was talking about, but now I'm like... Do I know? Because if it's not even in Black Swan, then it's not worth bringing up. Damn. You know what? I'm just gonna leave Black Swan out of it. Then.
Okay. Well, yeah.
I can't talk about that and its faithfulness to Perfect Blue, but I would say that the idea that it takes, the dual lifestyle and that character is a pretty big element to lift off of this source material, though, right? I mean,
it's
it's pretty prevalent in it.
Kind of. I took a completely different meaning from Black Swan than I guess that other people did. If the same meaning was to be extracted from Perfect Blue as Black Swan, I definitely did not take that out of when I watched Black Swan.
Okay.
But I will probably rewatch it to see if I can extract that. I can see I can see some elements of Perfect Blue in Black Swan. Like when I was watching, I was like, okay, there's like an idea or two in here. I just didn't understand why he had to buy the rights, because I didn't think it was really that much of an adaptation or a faux adaptation. But yeah, anyway, those are my cinemas I watched.
Yeah. You also gave a pretty lackluster review to Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh, I did.
Too.
Yeah, I did. It's I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but I just was super not into the Royal Tenenbaums. I even apologized to Saxon in my review.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think it's the characters that I didn't find as interesting. Well, the story is just not as interesting to me, and the characters are very one-note characters, I think, and it's just low-tier Anderson for me. I did enjoy the ending, though. The last, 15 minutes where with the car.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Dude, yeah, not Otis. Owen Wilson really carries that movie.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love Eli in that movie. I can agree that it's not my favorite Anderson movie. I did disagree with your review, though, that it's, lacking heart. I feel like that's one of the components of the movie that makes it, so charming to me, even though I don't really love its story as much as other Anderson movies, is that, this style is just so filled with heart, I feel like, and it's just him making whatever the fuck he wants,
Right.
You saw that happen in Rushmore a little bit, but then I think Royal Tenenbaums is, the first fully Wes Anderson, in his prime Wes Anderson movie. I do agree the screenplay is not my favorite compared to, something like Zissou or even Rushmore.
Yeah.
Or, especially not Fantastic Mr. Fox, which I think has got to be some of his best writing, too.
That's my favorite Anderson film.
I can't blame you. I think it goes back and forth between that and Zissou for me. But I do want to defend... Sorry, I meant to defend it a little bit more while we were on it.
Oh,
I do want to defend Perfect Blue.
Okay.
In that I think that it's a movie that can definitely be a bit overwhelming on the senses the first time around, and it can be a bit hard to follow because of that. But I think you get all of the information you need in your first viewing to go back and watch it and interpret more meaning and uncover it a little bit more. I guess I was really into the mind fuckery of it the first time I watched it, so I was glad to one day maybe go back and revisit it and see it from a more literal perspective of the events that are going on. And I gotta say, it's really cool going in with that mindset too. And so I had two different viewing experiences with Perfect Blue that I really loved. And I think that's just something that I admire in a movie in general, is when you can revisit it and reinterpret it. And, if the elements of the movie are too jarring though, and you don't enjoy them sensorily, you don't have to like the movie just because other people, really analyze. I guess what I'm saying is if it's just unpleasant to watch and you don't see a reason why you'd want to rewatch it, right. I get it, and that's totally fine. I just wanted to say I do think that if it seemed a bit much the first time, I think knowing what you know by the ending the second time through might make it more pleasant. I don't know.
Maybe I might want to revisit it, knowing that, because there's several twists in the movie. Obviously, no spoilers, but I can see going back and rewatching it, knowing all the big reveals would probably enhance the viewing a little bit.
I would say that a lot of what happens, and because of some twists at the end that you see, a lot of the mindfuckery suddenly becomes this is this event that's happening concurrently with the story, and you can see it from a certain layer when you first watch the movie, but the second time you watch the movie, you're in it and you're like, oh, so that's what was going on and that's what wasn't going on, which is weird with the movie to have to be wasn't going on. but like that's just perfect blue. His reality is so fucked.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like that part of the movie, but I can definitely see why it's divisive. That, and I'll say this, like movies like this typically fail. Like Mother, Darren Aronofsky's like most recent movie, I think. I don't think he came out with anything after it, but that's got like an F on Cinema Score. Most audiences like hate it. Yeah, like people walked into it. People walked into it and they did not like it at all. And meanwhile, it's like critically beloved, and a lot of people even say it's like one of their favorite movies of the 2010s. Just movies that have this very harsh and interpretive style. I just feel like will always be divisive. And
right.
It's just unfortunate that you're on the fucking losing side of history, bro.
I'm on the wrong side of history most of the time.
Indeed. No, your L's are truly like big.
They're huge L's. When I take an L, it's not just like I can live with it. It's earth-shattering shit, man.
Well, that reminds me, I've seen some cinema too this week.
Okay.
I watched 2 cinemas.
You watched 2 cinemas?
But I'll only talk about one now, and I
Okay.
did it in preparation of our other cinema.
Right.
I watched the King of Comedy this week because I'd never seen it.
Let's go.
And honestly, Martin Scorsese's little anthology of like social outcasts is like some of my favorite like film out there. Sorry, there's a blind dog near us. Just another little tidbit about the Big 5-0. We've got a blind dog wandering about the studio. Just keeps us on our toes.
Right.
Sometimes it goes real wacky.
We set up some sharp objects to keep us from.
We're trying to make Final Destination 6 the dog. Dog luck.
Dog luck.
Anyway, fuck. Sorry, I watched King of Comedy, and I just really love Martin Scorsese character pieces in general, so I don't know why I hadn't seen this before, because it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I really dig the King of Comedy. I think Robert De Niro is fucking brilliant, and I kind of forget that in his young age, he had to, like, try. He had to, like, do challenging roles and not just get paid, like, $1 billion to be Robert De Niro.
Right.
Like, he's an act. I mean, he's like method in this movie, I think, and it's fucking great. Like, I want to say, this is such a cringe statement, but like, this is a better portrayal of the Joker than Joker is, man. No, but like, I really like how this guy is just so like externally like pleasant and polite, but yet like he's so off-putting at the same time.
Right.
But like, Robert De Niro never drops the sincereness and the earnestness of this character. It's like people like this celebrity's like avoiding him, and his assistant is like, "Oh, you'll have to wait." And Robert De Niro's got fucking nothing better to do, so he has all day to wait for Jerry Lewis in this movie. No, not Jerry Lewis in this movie. Fuck, they changed Jerry Lewis's name. I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter because it's basically Jerry Lewis anyway, which is such a good idea for a casting choice. Is like, get the person that you're trying to base the character off of, because their life is that character's experience. It's just really fun. Martin Scorsese is just such a great director. He keeps it visually interesting the whole time. The script is really solid, and I love how they play around with the with reality, hallucinations a little bit with this character, and also just like social boundaries that we don't often think about being broken, and you the viewer get to kind of decide like, when is this weird and uncomfortable, when is this no longer okay, I
have a question for you about the film, because I don't hardly know anybody else that's watched The King of Comedy, so I can't have this dialogue with them. But now, since you've watched it, I have a question. Do you think, towards the end of the movie, I'll say this in a non-spoiler way because y'all really need to watch The King of Comedy. Do you think he was funny at the end? Do you think the jokes were actually funny?
I do. I do think that he was kind of funny, and I think that was part of it. Is that like, he actually does have a bit of a talent. He just needed that. Oh shit! there we go. Maybe me marching into spoilers, but I think that it is funny.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I did too. I thought the jokes were landing, and I was sitting there laughing. I'm like, but is it fun? Are these jokes good, or is it supposed to be like, oh, these jokes are kind of corny? But I don't know. I was laughing the whole time. I was like, okay, it's actually
I
good.
thought it was a pretty good stand-up set.
It's a
truly.
good, yeah. Okay.
And it's like 7 minutes, so it better be good, you know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. It's a 5-star movie for me. I saw you gave it 4.5.
I think
awesome.
I just refrained. Yeah, I really like it. I think I am trying to be more sparse with my 5 stars these days. You know, like I guess it's like if there are pacing parts of the movie that don't hold my attention the whole way through, like, you know, if I have to check my watch, I know that I don't love it so fully that it's 5 stars. And I guess that's kind of douchey to be like, oh, well, it's my entertainment value taking away from probably what is a technically perfect movie. But, like, it's a thing, man. You know?
It's a thing.
Your
understand.
entertainment value should factor into your opinion.
I definitely gauge a movie based on how many times I look at my phone or the time to see, because I'm like, damn, like, how long have I been watching this? Because if a movie like gives you the opportunity to be like, I wonder what time it is, there's something wrong. The scene is not working for you or something. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad movie. But for example, one of the other cinemas I watched this week was the Sparks Brothers documentary. Mm-hmm. And while it's an interesting documentary, it's 2.5 hours long. And I checked the time so many fucking times.
Yeah.
I was like, God dang, how many more albums do we have to go through for this fucking band? It was... I still gave it 3 stars because it's an interesting documentary and it's fun, but it is so fucking long and it gets boring in some parts.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's valid. It's valid, very valid.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah. I was just gonna say, like, personal. If there's anything I've learned from doing this podcast, it's like just, you know, be honest about how you feel about a movie. Don't like sit there and just, you know, respect the craft the whole time. Because, I mean, that's important, you know,
right.
Respecting when something is really technically good. But it's also important to just be honest with yourself and say, I don't really care for that experience and I'm not going to pretend to.
Yeah.
That describes something coming up later in the
Yes.
episode. But first, you know, because it is our big 5-0 1 year, we thought it would be nice to, you know, open our ears to the audience again, and not just this live studio audience. Which thank you for your applause, as always. It's not from the studio audience, but instead from our dear friends
The
who
real
follow
audience.
us on Twitter. You know, we do have an Instagram too. Do we use it? No. So
It's a dead
really, it's only Twitter. But Twitter is important. So
Yes.
I have our little thread pulled up.
You have it pulled up? Okay. I'm going to also pull it up for the sake of pulling it up.
Sam was one of the... Sam's the first one that pops up on my thing because he's probably the most recent response.
Right, yeah.
I mean, shoot me in the leg if it's a crime to ask for your guys' favorite memed moments. The Warrior Cat's monologue will echo through the fabric of time. So, like, what was one of your favorite, like, you know, iconic moments? If we have iconic moments, I feel like we have a few.
We have a few iconic moments.
Some that live on
Yeah.
through the lore of the podcast, not the show.
I definitely think the Warrior Cats is probably the most iconic moment. The monologue, just like the whole like 5 minutes of complete and utter chaos when we when you just like start the story. I think another moment that I really like that let me think. I don't know. There's a lot. What is your favorite moment? Well, I think
One of my favorite moments was definitely that time that we had Jacob and Natalie on the show, and it broke down really quickly over no MTV drama. I think that's one of my favorite things that has happened because it had no reason to be funny at all.
No.
But it just happened. I'm actually looking through our page now because I know that we usually retweet Sam's like memes on our timeline, and I want to go down memory lane here. I do love the goblin moment, in that same episode when Luke would just keep fucking talking, and we were like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, it's the Goblin!" And he like definitely talked a lot more than we thought he was going to. Oh, definitely. One of his best, Sam's. One of your best made memes is the Fallout New Vegas Squid Game Swingers one.
Yes.
That's just brilliant. That's just like a perfectly edited meme. I know I've already said that before, but
It's good. It's probably one of my favorite memes. I think one of my favorite moments was actually a more recent moment when we had Thad on the podcast. The last probably 20 minutes of the episode where he said, you're talking about your film school experiences acting, and he said, I think I watched this one about this sad artist fuck, and you said that was me. And it just killed me. And you going and explaining what the film was, that was really funny. That was one of my favorite moments.
it was really good. I think those were some pretty solid memed moments right there, honestly.
Yeah.
Let me see. What else did people say, huh? Okay. So, Saxon said, I think y'all should do an episode where you look back on some of your favorite movies from your childhood and see how well they hold up now, and I wouldn't mind some more director spotlight episodes like the one you did for David Fincher. Yeah, we definitely meant to do a lot more director spotlights, and that's so funny because that was like episode 5, and we haven't revisited that
In 45 episodes.
Yeah, in 45 episodes. So it's got to be one of our most infrequent topics or templates for this show. But
We definitely meant to do several of them, though.
Yeah,
Like,
we definitely have some people in mind too.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I feel like a Nolan spotlight would be really fun. You know,
I also want to do PTA and Coen Brothers as well.
Yeah,
I know that's some that Saxon recommended. He recommended Spielberg, PTA, the Coen Brothers, Bong Joon-ho,
I would love
and
to
Edgar
do
Wright.
the Coen brothers because they're
Oh, yeah.
some of my favorite filmmakers, and they have so many movies.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be fantastic. Hell yeah. No, we definitely will return to the director spotlights, and that's a good idea for a topic. I would definitely love to examine some movies. I was just talking about this last night. You know, I'm going to hold on to that innocence that Master of Disguise is like a funny movie because I'm just not going to rewatch it ever.
Same,
You know?
same.
Like, I just want to keep the illusion going that it's like really funny, actually.
Same, bro, same. I refuse to rewatch that movie because
a
the
lot of
same thing.
2000s movies that I definitely feel that way about.
Yeah.
This kid at work is forcing me to see Over the Hedge because he likes to watch it a lot.
I love Over the Hedge. I had a Game Boy Advance game for Over the Hedge.
Dang. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was into it, but you topped me there. I did watch. Well, like I used to watch a lot of Saturday morning cartoons, and they would do little like interviews with the cast of Over the Hedge before it came out.
Yeah.
They were hyping it up, so I was ready for it to come out, and let me tell you, I was not disappointed. And in my head canon, it's one of the greats of DreamWorks. And when I watched it on someone else's iPad recently, it was not making me laugh as much as I was hoping it would. Like the Steve Carell squirrel was kind of annoying. I was like, oh no.
Dude, in my second job at Larry's Pizza, we have a group me, and in that group me, I changed.
You love doxing yourself.
I do love doxing myself. But I changed my group me icon to Hammy from Over the Hedge because somebody said I look like him.
Oh God.
So that's that.
That person would be blocked on my end.
Block them. Let's see, go through here again. Donna Dollum says, tell us your favorite things about your moms.
Ooh.
My mom is a very nice person. She's nice to everybody she meets. That's my favorite thing about my mom.
One of my favorite things about my mom is that she makes random songs while she's going through life. She's kind of like Linda Belcher in that way. In fact, one thing I love about my mom is that I can watch the TV show Bob's Burgers and be like, that's my mom.
Linda Belcher is Isaac's mom, confirmed.
Yeah, but also I love sorry, but just one more thing about my mom. One thing I love about my mom is that she'll commit to something like, this is all Bob's Burgers oriented, but she'll commit to something like making Tina from Bob's Burgers her profile picture. And not even just like a normal picture of Tina, but Tina like twerking. I was like, okay, Mom. Love you, Mom.
Nice. Love you, Mom. Even though my mom does not listen to this.
Okay.
I don't think she knows what
I don't think my mom
is.
listens to this either. So it's okay. Our moms don't love us that much.
Thad, good old Thad the Rat King. He just said talk about vaping.
Okay. Let's just get it out of the way. The coolest hobby.
You could
The
ever
sickest tricks. Casey, why don't you go ahead and elaborate by ripping a sick fat cloud? Right
Okay. My device is actually, it just died. Like,
and that
check battery.
doesn't that say a lot about vaping?
Yeah,
is
it
that
does.
we should kill the battery on that and not vape anymore.
Listen,
Amen.
If you vape, what flavor do you vape, bruh? Because, no,
Pineapple.
Pineapple? I actually
God.
do have a pineapple flavor in
Oh,
here.
of course you do.
It's strawberry coconut pineapple. It's called Lava Flow.
I'll say this about vaping. One time my sorry Blake. One time my roommate. Oh God, I shouldn't have said his name. One time my old roommate he was vaping a lot in the dorm we lived in, and he was vaping so much at 3 a.m. in the morning while watching Jeopardy that he set off the fire alarm. But here's the thing about the building that we lived in. It was a 4-story building with like hundreds of other people living in it, and they all had to evacuate at 3 a.m. because motherfucker was vaping so much that it filled the room so much that the fire alarm went off. Just amateur stuff right there. Anyway,
bro.
that's what I'll say about vaping.
What I'll say about vaping is, I'm addicted. That's really all vaping's good for, is just nicotine. I only know how to do a couple of tricks even. Like, it's not even like I vape because it's cool and you can do cool things with the smoke. It's literally because I have a nicotine addiction. I've tried twice to quit and I can't, so fuck it. I'll just keep doing it.
Let's be honest.
Let's be honest here, people.
About the Nick. Kennedy said, or Tetris Queen.
Tetris Queen to you.
Tetris Queen. And God help anyone who disrespect his Tetris Queen. I need a 2000s chick flicks episode. This isn't a question, just a request. So I definitely would love to do an episode about chick flicks because there are some that I actually think about quite a bit.
Same.
Easy A is
Forgetting
a
Sarah
great.
Marshall.
Oh, that's a chick flick.
I mean,
If that's a chick flick, that is the highest quality chick flick.
Okay, so like when I think of chick flicks, I think of like movies that like the girlfriends get around and go and see, and like Forgetting Sarah Marshall was one of those.
I feel like your main character has to be a girl, though.
Okay.
For it to be a chick flick, because men will check out a lot of the times when that's the condition. Forgetting Sarah Marshall, you know, it's a very bro-y movie too.
That's true.
Because it's like, oh, you know, we've all been there getting dumped by our gal.
Yeah.
How are you gonna chill it up with the bros? Maybe you'll look at Mila Kunis's boobies. Who knows? So I feel like that disqualifies it from a chick flick.
Okay, true.
I feel
by
like
that definition, I understand what we're considering a chick flick.
I feel like, you know, it has to have. Well, one of the qualities is a main character who's played by an actress that your grandparents at the time, if they're very Christian, will say, like, well, she's just a scamp. Look at the way she's dressed. You know,
slut.
Lindsay Lohan in Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Essential. Emma Stone in Easy A.
Yeah.
Essential. I mean, if you want to get into it, we have the first chick flick of horror film, Jennifer's Body.
Yeah.
You know, none would be too kind to the way that Megan Fox is dressed in that movie. But see, that was why that movie failed, though, is they marketed it as a bro-y movie, total chick flick.
Yeah.
But also really good. I liked it a fair amount.
I still need to watch it.
I don't know. I might even say that Juno to a certain point. might be seen as a chick flick. I don't know, but it has. Well, most of them have male screenwriters, so I guess I shouldn't rule out a chick flick with a male screenwriter.
Okay.
But,
I just looked up some Google's popular 2000s chick flick movies.
There we go.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Okay.
The Proposal, I remember.
Oh,
was
yeah, with
really
Ryan
big.
Reynolds.
Yeah, and Sandra Bullock. She's the Man.
Oh, yeah. That one's...
He's Just Not That Into You. P.S. I Love You. Love Actually. Okay, I like Love Actually a lot.
I like Love Actually. I've never seen The Notebook still. But
I haven't watched The Notebook.
most Nicholas Sparks movies
Right.
would definitely count as chick flicks.
Bride Wars.
Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde. Definitely 27 Dresses. Okay, Miss Congeniality is on here. I wouldn't consider that a chick flick.
I don't know. It's got Sandra Bullock.
It technically is a chick flick, right? But I think it transcends the genre of chick flick to comedy thriller. I don't know. But yeah, like a bunch of movies like that. I could see Hitch. Okay, why? I don't think Hitch.
I don't think
necessarily
Hitch would be. Yeah, I feel like they stretch it.
They stretch
you
it.
know, women. Here. Oh, okay. There's Juno.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like that's also, lower tier because it got nominated for an Oscar. Like if it's got too much critical praise, you can't call it a chick flick because if it's recognized. Yeah, and that won like best screenplay. So
yeah, for
you know
sure.
what? I got to disqualify Juno for being too beloved by critics. You know?
Yeah,
that's you've just got too much dick in there in that opinion.
Too much.
Anyway, Jacob says that he needs a ranking of all Adam Sandler movies, which I do want to take the time to torture ourselves and maybe gradually watch all of those so we can have a definitive ranking. I do think that we should include the bangers, though, still, like Uncut Gems and Punch Drunk Love, even though those aren't typical Adam Sandler movies. But I do think we should put a limit. Like, we should find the definitive...
The canon Adam Sandler films.
Because we don't need to do, like, 8 Crazy Nights or any shit like that, you know? No animated spin-offs. No Adam Sandler, like, Netflix movies. Those don't fucking matter.
Those don't fucking know. We're talking about canonical in theaters Adam Sandler, like, stamp of approval movies.
Yeah. It's got his seal.
It's his seal of it being pretty bad for the most part.
Indeed.
He also said he wants a Spielberg ranking, which, I mean, that's going to be hard because Spielberg...
He's got so many goddamn
He has over 70 films that he's directed, and I haven't watched all of them.
We could do... Again, because we don't have time to each tell our 70 episodes, we could definitely do our top 10 Spielberg
top
movies.
10 Spielberg.
Maybe, and then like top 5 worst ones too as a bonus.
Because
like,
he's got some stinkers.
He's got some real duds, and we'd be remiss if we didn't dunk on the guy with that many stinkers out.
He's literally the reason that I'm pursuing a career in film, but let me tell you, he does have some pretty bad ones too. But for the most part,
he kind of sucks dick sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. I love Spielberg though. But is that all the replies we got?
That's all the replies we got. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, nice.
Indeed. Well, and we'd love to do a full Q&A episode again someday in the future.
We'll do that soon. Yeah.
So fuck yeah. Anyway, this is payoff time for one of the longest running arcs.
Gags.
We'll have to set up another random obligatory arc soon.
Right.
But one of the things is that the audience has been screaming for Joker.
For Joker.
You know, they just go nuts for that shit. Isn't that right, you little sacks
you
of
fucking shit.
You
should probably kill another one, honestly. They're getting too rowdy in here. All right.
Okay. I
calm
hope
the fuck
that's never
down.
played on the news.
Yeah.
Like after I die. He did have a pretty disturbing podcast where he pretended to kill studio audience members.
Oh my god. Yeah, that would come back to bite us in the ass.
Speaking of murdering people in a studio audience, did you revisit the hit 2019 film
Joker?
Like starring Joaquin Phoenix?
Joaquin?
Since we don't respect Jay anymore.
We don't respect the J. Yeah, I revisited the Joker. It's on HBO Max right now, so it's easy to get a viewing in.
Indeed, that was my go-to platform as well.
good old Warner Brothers. I mean, yeah. So I guess I should start off by saying when we want to do the Joker episode, we're going to talk about all iterations of the Joker, talk about the mythos of the character completely, and just a good jumping off point is just to start with the Joker film, I think, and we can work our way backwards or forwards or whatever. But yeah, do you wanna? I know you have some notes.
Oh yeah,
for Joker 2019. Let's get into it. This is the Joker episode, baby.
Okay, so I definitely do not like this movie, and that's been alienating me from people because most people like this movie. I would say, like, even if they don't love it, they like it. And this time, I just decided that, oh my gosh, I think this is bad. So anyway, I took some notes throughout it, and maybe that'll help spark just some conversations about those specifics. But also, these are just what I felt like writing while it was going on. The intro is great with Joaquin Phoenix in front of the mirror. Like, I do like him, like, stretching his mouth and shit and, like, putting it into a smile and then being sad. Like, it does show a lot about the character from the start, and I like that. And I like the medical card reveal. Yeah. Like, putting it into, like, a real life thing. There is medical jewelry in real life that helps identify people with issues and disorders, and I think that was a cool way to tackle a signature part of the character. Do I think that it was a question anyone had? Why does he laugh like that? No, but if you are gonna answer this, I feel like this is one of the best things you could do with that.
I found it interesting that that's a real condition that people have. Have you seen the videos on YouTube of the people that
I think I did in 2019 because I remember people were like, "Oh my god, it's real!
Look at this."
Which that's cool, that they didn't just pull that out of their ass, because I feel like that would have been a bit too much if it was pulled out of their ass. But it is real, so it's very interesting.
I just thought that was cool.
That is cool. Those damn stairs.
Those fucking stairs.
Every time those stairs show up, I'm just like, oh my god, fuck those stairs.
Fuck those stairs, man.
I said the King of Comedy shit starts early, mainly because the first time the talk show is introduced, it jumps right into a hallucination, and it's not subtle. This is what I'll say makes Joker so fucking, like, fan fiction-y and like student film feeling to me is that it completely lacks subtlety. Like, with this first hallucination, like Martin Scorsese said of the King of Comedy that he intentionally leaves the line between reality and fantasy blurred throughout the movie's entire runtime. At no point are you convinced that what is happening to him is real when he's hallucinating, because they do everything in their power to hold your hand and show you, like, oh, don't worry about, like, the narrative. Like, trust us, buddy. This is just a hallucination. But you can tell your friends about this element of the movie later and say it's pretty interesting. I don't care for the hallucinations at all. And it's not subtle. In that first hallucination, they bring De Niro in, too, to kind of give the movie credence. It's like, oh, we acknowledge that this is like Taxi Driver and King of Comedy, and I don't think it gets them a pass. I think it's just like, oh yeah, we got all our ideas from this, and here's De Niro to be the face of approval, but I don't think that gets them off the hook for borrowing. I will say that the plot of Joker is original enough that I don't think it's a direct ripoff, but there are way too many elements lifted to ignore it.
Yeah, no, it's even to the point where it's like got the same scene in Taxi Driver when he's playing with the gun and he's practicing pulling it out. Yeah. That scene is in Joker, and it looks like the same fucking gun, too. It's like the same snub-nosed revolver. I'm like, what the fuck is going on
They've even jumped it back a few decades to be in the 80s.
80s, exactly.
Which will give it that look just like those Scorsese character pieces. I gotta say, one of the most baffling things about Joker is that its weakest elements have got to be the Batman tie-ins. Like, I think that I was just rolling my eyes the first time that it had, like, news about Thomas Wayne, running for mayor, and, like, the mother's all like, oh, we love him, oh, he's so great, and just, like, really hitting you over the head with all of the shit that ties back to Batman. I think that it's like tolerable for a little bit, if not a little bit obnoxious, until he goes to Wayne Manor. Like, I'll just say, sorry, it's later on in my notes, but I don't care about jumping around. Yeah. It's just like, it gets so fucking on the nose with its shit. Like, there's Bruce Wayne. Oh, he'll grow up to be Batman one day. Oh, there's Alfred, the butler that's always around. Look, he's young now. Ah ha ha. It's just like such a pointless, like, little fucking interaction, and it doesn't really justify the like conflict later on as to why he's snapping. It's like, oh, Thomas Wayne rejects him as a father. You don't need all the other Batman shit to get to that ending, you know, of that storyline. You know, I'm sorry, full spoilers, by the way, for the Joker, because we're gonna analyze this fucking movie, and then we're gonna analyze the character in general. I will say that the violence, though, is very effective. I wrote that it's shocking, you know, and it's very visceral. Yeah. And I think that works in the movie's favor. Like that, I think that the setup for the train murders is a bit silly, but I think once it starts happening, that's an effectively tense scene, and it's unhinged, and I like it. I like when Joaquin is allowed to actually fucking go to this place where he's like this character, and he's, you know, darker, and he's got some more disturbing elements, you know, and they're not just beating around the bush anymore. I will say, like, I feel like it would have worked better, the elements of the movie where he's Arthur Fleck and you're, you know, trying to sympathize with him. I think it would work better if there was any subtlety in the movie, like if you thought you were supposed to like him, or if you thought maybe he won't become a crazy psycho. But like the whole time, I just found myself wanting him to stop being Arthur Fleck and start being the Joker, because I'm just not interested in Arthur Fleck's stupid life. I think he's a total incel. I think the Zazie Beetz character is a huge waste of the movie's runtime. Yeah. And of that.
When I rewatched, I skipped all those parts.
Really?
For real, yeah, because I was like, this is stupid. I know where this leads. This was never real. This is stupid as shit, and it's boring, and I skipped all those parts.
Okay, yeah. I pretty much had the same experience watching all those parts. Yeah. It's like skipping, you know, the actual plot of the movie, because at no point does it actually affect the narrative. At no point do you actually believe that she's real, because it's so obvious from the start. And then to just hit you over the head with it, they got to show you all the fucking parts of the movie where he's walking around with her and she's not saying anything and she's not doing anything. Like, that's the part of the movie that pisses me off, is like, you don't even bother to try to establish that. And you're wasting this really talented actress, actually. Like, Zazie Beetz is so good in everything that she's in, and she doesn't get a chance to do fucking anything in this movie. They take, like, the one... Honestly, okay, the therapist talks more than Zazie Beetz, so I can't say that they completely exclude people of color and women, because the therapist has, like, 2 scenes. Zazie Beetz does not say, like, anything. She does not do anything. And by the time that you find out she's not real, you still don't care. Yeah. Because this relationship is so half-baked, and it seems so inconsequential on the plot anyway. Like, at no point has he talked to her about any of the things that are going on. Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like that's one of the parts of the movie that I can't believe, like, people ignore when it's such a clear flaw. Let's see. Oh, I thought it was really funny too, like, anytime there was, like, a plot reveal, like in the letter that his mother wrote, all of the plot points are underlined. Like, who's going through a letter underlining this shit for, like, someone other than the audience to read? Like, your son, Thomas Wayne. He's crazy too.
Mentally insane, physical abuse. Like, it's like, okay, I get it.
It's just the lack of subtlety. It really kills this movie, because what makes the Scorsese character pieces so good is that you, the audience member, are not told explicitly that they're crazy. You find out that they're a little off through watching. From the start of this movie, Arthur Fleck is a crazy fuck. I mean, it shows him in a mental institution banging his head against the wall. There is no room left to the imagination that he is out of his gourd.
Yeah. For sure. Like from the first scene.
From the first scene. Yeah. And okay, something about this movie that I think is just so silly is the world building, and especially the people in the movie. Everyone in Gotham is unreasonably mean. Like, the lady on the bus is just unrealistically an asshole. All of his coworkers. I mean, even the guy who's supposedly nice to him is just nice to him in a way where he doesn't say anything to him.
Right, yeah.
Because apparently everyone is so goddamn mean all the goddamn time, and they can't be bothered to, like, be polite for a second. Like, I don't know. That's not your typical experience as a human being, that everyone is just so... I guess that's my point with the movie, is like a lot of people praise it as a moral cautionary tale of thinking of how you treat others. I just don't believe at all that this is how anyone would treat someone, and it makes me angry with this movie because it seems like so self-indulgent.
Yeah, no, it's how incels think that they're treated by everybody else. Like,
exactly,
and it's such a, like, I would honestly not be surprised if Todd Phillips has never had sex in his life, but like, whoever fucking wrote the screenplay with somebody.
Yeah, he did. But he wrote it and directed it, and this is his baby.
It really angers me because it's like, I mean, I was gonna save this for this is. I'll go ahead and give my main problem with this movie right now, because we're getting to that territory, right? Okay. This fucking movie, it is within the DC Comics universe, and it tries its fucking hardest to deny that fact for its entire runtime. It tries so hard to be something that it shouldn't try to be. It's a movie about the Joker, about a Batman villain. Just make it a movie about the Joker. Stop trying with all this other stupid fucking bullshit. What they've done is they've made a movie glorifying, and I'm not even I'll say this, that movie glorifies basically being a fucking idiot. It glorifies the incel culture. It's like there's a scene in the movie that I think is really well directed and shot, but I fucking hate because of the subtext in it, when it's after his mom has died and his friends come over. And he's like, my mom died, I'm celebrating, which is a funny line. But afterwards he says, I'm off my medicine, I feel great, and then proceeds to murder somebody. And then the entire movie, the entire time after that, they play that stupid fucking song. What's it called? It's like when he's jumping down the stairs. Okay, so it's like...
Copyright.
Yeah. So it's like, if you're trying to say that this person is somebody you don't want to be, you don't have him get off his fucking medication, murder a guy, and then dance down the steps to a fucking upbeat song. Like, it's just saying, like it's glorifying the fact that people with these issues like that are mentally unstable, it's like, hey, if you just say fuck it and just kill somebody, or if you just get off your meds, or you do that thing that you think you shouldn't do, you're gonna feel great, it's gonna be freeing, and you're gonna fucking change the world. And at the end he's sitting there and everybody's just praising him. It's like, that's the most incel thing I've ever fucking seen. And that is not healthy whatsoever. And that is my main problem with this movie, is that it glorifies that. And the main purpose, I think, to be making a movie about the Joker would be to say, hey, you don't want to be this guy. But the movie at every turn gives the audience reasons why, hey, it might be cool to be the Joker. And it's so stupid, and it enrages me every time I think about it. You can see it if you watch how it's edited. It's glorifying things that he does, and it shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, I do feel like the movie takes his side. Yeah, but then also sometimes decides, we're not on his side. Like, it will very half-heartedly throw a couple things in there that's like, clearly we don't support him. Right. Clearly we're showing that he's crazy. But then most of the movie is like, actually, no. It's like when Trump went out in front of the Capitol and was like, you guys, what the heck? What are you doing in here?
Yeah.
Go on home,
you
crazy
home, you're
goon.
Very special.
You're very
we
special.
Love you.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what he said. You're very special. Like the the Joker movie is essentially that speech. They're saying, "Go home, Joker. You're crazy. You're very special, though.
Yeah.
And we love you." Like, I think nothing articulates that better. Like, that this movie thinks it's, like, really edgy and out there and, like, telling people ideas that they're not ready to hear or whatever.
Yeah.
With the joke that he tells about, like, knock, knock, who's there? Oh, it's me. Your son was just hit by a drunk driver. He's dead. And everyone's, like, horrified, and like that's like the worst joke they could ever come up with, and they're like, you shouldn't say that joke. It's like totally trying to come for like woke PC culture or something, but that's not how anyone reacts to that very basic ass dumbass joke. It's like the equivalent of telling I identify as an Apache helicopter joke. And it's like, oh man, yeah, people are just like really sensitive about humor. It makes you like wonder, like, are you even allowed to be funny anymore? And it's like, no, you're allowed to be funny. Just come up with a joke that's like funny, though. You know, like something that's not just rudimentary and basic. Like maybe you'll get people to laugh then. It's just, it definitely is a movie that's like patting itself on the back for saying something and being deep. And it's like a fucking pool. It's a kiddie pool.
It's a kiddie pool. Yeah. And people that have never seen the ocean thinks it's deep. That's like the best review of this movie. I think
on Letterboxd there's a review that says that. And I'm like, of course you'll think the pool is deep if you've never seen the ocean before. Yeah. Or as Drake once said, she thought it was the ocean, just the pool. Sorry, that song probably played while people were being killed.
Yeah, that was Travis Scott. Yeah.
Gosh. Well, it's real life scary shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the thing that feels so disgusting about this movie, is that we're living in a time where enough of these like people who feel really sorry for themselves and feel entitled to like, you know, commit acts of violence to feel better about it. Like, they are getting the complete wrong message from this movie. Yeah. And don't even tell me that it's not an anthem for the alt-right, because, like, I've seen so many images of this movie, of Heath Ledger already, who was kind of like, that iteration of the Joker was just enough for people to, like, lose their shit. But this one just fully turns to incels and says, you're justified to feel what you feel. That's how the world is, actually. And it's just irresponsible to me, and it's... On top of that, it's just not that great of a story, not an original story, and not a good Joker origin story. I will say something that about the character that I think is done better in every other version is the ambiguity of this character's past. And it's because what makes the character terrifying is like he doesn't necessarily have a motive or a good reason to do what he does. Yeah. And this movie pretty much claps him on the back and says, well, actually, you know, he's got actually the right level of fucked up backstory to murder people. We like this guy, actually. He's got a point. And it's like, no. That's not the character.
Jumping in a little bit just to the character himself, I mean, what makes the Joker so great as a villain is because he's the perfect antithesis of Batman. And his reason for doing the things he does is to get at Batman. Like, before Batman, he was just a crazy clown murdering people. Batman sort of gave him the purpose he needed. And in this movie, they're throwing out everything you've ever known about the Joker story, his mythology. They're throwing it out the window and saying, actually, he was abused by his crazy mother, and now he's crazy, and he wants to change the world because the world's so mean to him. And... yada yada, they turned him into an incel pretty much, and now that's his reason for doing the shit he does, not Batman. They've completely actually fucked the character, in my opinion. Like, the Joker movie is not a good Joker movie. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. It like, they tried to make this movie something that it shouldn't have been, that it's not, and they tried so fucking hard to make you forget that it's a fucking DC comic movie and that it's like tied with the superhero genre. They tried so hard to make you forget that so they could do their shitty fucking character piece on this fucking character that you literally, if there was ever a character that you didn't need to sympathize with whatsoever, it's the Joker. I mean, all the comics, all the movies, it makes it a point for you to never sympathize with him. And then here comes this fucking studio, like, let's fucking do that. And while we're at it, let's destroy everything about the character that makes him great in the Batman mythos, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
I do feel like there are some concepts that I don't necessarily like think are essentials of the character. Like, I don't think that Batman and the Joker have to complete each other. Like, I do think that you can have a movie like this that maybe explores the Joker who enters into crime like long before Batman.
Right.
Like, I just feel like this was not an interesting way to do it. And honestly, it's really sad that this is the case, but I think the origin story of him just falling into a vat of acid is just
way better
than this. Like, you really had Occam's razor in force here. The simplest explanation is best. You don't need 2 hours of him feeling sorry for himself and hiding in a goddamn fridge to explain why he's the Joker. Just throw him in a vat of acid. Oh, his skin's bleached now and his green hair is green. And he's crazy.
He's the Joker now.
He's the Joker now. And what I love about the character as a whole is that he's so non-committal to any origin story.
Yeah.
In fact, in his most famous story, The Killing Joke, he taunts Batman with the fact that he doesn't taunt Batman. He just says, like, he prefers to think of his past as multiple choice,
Yeah.
And this is kind of what I like about the Nolan take on the character, is that he's constantly bullshitting about why he does what he does. He doesn't have a reason. He just does it because it's something that he feels, drawn to, the chaos, the murder. And then what's interesting about the Nolan character is, like, they kind of create each other. Like, the Joker drives Batman to the brink, and Batman drives the Joker to his purpose, and it's just an interesting dichotomy that they've got going on there. I do agree with you that the character is usually better explored when Batman's present,
right?
Because it's a yin and yang story, and there's that balance in there, and I think that's in Batman's favor too. Is like a lot of stories that have the Joker show up are just stories that question, like, oh, what is Batman even really doing?
Right.
Is he actually causing good, or has he just created more evils, like more extreme evils, to challenge any good that he can do?
For sure, yeah. I think, and also if you look at if we go back a little bit past Joker 2019, speaking of the Nolan's interpretation of the Joker, there's like each era that we have of the Joker kind of defines what I want to say American politics, and I'll defend myself here.
Okay.
Nolan's Batman. I mentioned this. Hey, we're bringing it right back, full ass fucking circle. First
episode was a Dark Knight praising event.
And I talked about how The Dark Knight is like about post 9/11 trauma and post 9/11 fears in American culture and American government and stuff. Pause!
Hello, listener. Have you ever heard something so bad that you wanted to rip your own ears off? No? Well, here's something that will. The Emoji Movie is good. It's the best animated film ever made. Twice the heart of Toy Story, actually. Christopher Nolan gets all of his ideas from Spanish soap operas and appropriates them to American film culture. Movies should only be 1 hour and 20 minutes maximum. Would you like to be a studio audience member on the Mom Podcast? Sign up in the form linked to the video. Spots are limited and they are $300. Reserve your spot.
Welcome back. We got the blind dog in the studio still.
Blind dog in the studio.
Cassie, that's what's up.
She said what?
She said, "Oh yeah, that got her attention." She might have some heavy breathing featured on the sounds here in a second. That's okay. She hot on the mic. That's for sure.
But yeah, so with Nolan's iteration of the Joker, a lot of people like to theorize that he was once he's an ex-military soldier because of how he plans everything. And
I love that theory.
Oh yeah, it's a great theory. But it plays into like what exactly like is going on with Nolan's version of the character and what that Joker is really about, and it's really about the failures of pretty much like the Bush presidency, the failures of America's response before and after the 9/11 tragedy, which was, in a roundabout way, we kind of caused 9/11 ourselves with the internment camps that ISIS was formed in, leading to the destruction of the Twin Towers and the death of a lot of people. And then our response to it, how we handled it, that Nolan's Joker is pretty much the response. And it's fucking ingenious in a way that he's able to do that with that movie. And it's not, if you think about it, hot off the trails almost. It's only 7 years after.
Yeah. Well, it would have been during the Bush presidency too. Both the first two Nolan movies are Bush movies. So.
Exactly. What was it? Obama was 2009?
He would have taken office in 2009, but Dark Knight would have filmed almost entirely
in 2007.
Or been written, probably 2006.
Yeah, exactly. So now we have fucking a decade later, the Joker 2019, and we're kind of in a different situation politically, and I think that Joaquin or Phillips's take on the Joker is more geared towards the fucking internet culture side of it. And even though it's in the 80s, there's no escaping that a lot of the cues in this movie are pretty much like we've been talking about incels a lot. That's something that started with the internet. That's how they, on message boards and stuff, like Joker 2019 is internet culture Joker, and it's in the worst way possible. Like I said, we think it's glorifying the character when it really shouldn't be. And I think if we go back, I don't think really Jack Nicholson's Joker.
He's not in response to anything.
He's not in response to anything.
Chaotic.
That's just that's probably the best version of the Joker that we have. It's Jack Nicholson's. I love what Heath Ledger did. That's obviously my favorite iteration of the Joker. But in terms of comic book character Joker, Jack Nicholson's Joker is pretty much that goofy. He's crazy. Yeah. He just gassed all these people. He's not really in response to anything. It's in the 80s. It's Tim fucking Burton.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Blind Dog got some thoughts. Blind Dog
don't like Tim Burton Batman?
I guess so. Well, I'm going to echo some of Blind Dog's sentiment here and say that I don't love that version of the character killing Batman's parents. In fact, I think that's one of the more obnoxious parts of Joker 2019 is the death scene, the fucking Waynes getting shot. Mm-hmm. That's what really feels so obnoxious about all of the comic book references that are in the movies. It spends large swaths ignoring DC Comics, and then when it does have a fucking reference to DC, it's just so on the nose, and you can't miss it. It's the Batman origin story scene, and you just put it in your movie, and it doesn't need to be in there.
No.
Fuck off with that shit.
Fuck off.
Truly.
Yeah. Okay, let me recorrect my statement here. The Jack Nicholson Joker character, besides him killing I never liked that part either. That's not at all. I'm talking about everything else pretty much. Him actually as the Joker, even his origin, the Joker's origin story. Doesn't he fall in the vat of acid in Tim Burton's
sure does. He sure does, yeah.
Yeah, he's like the most...
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. I think, I'd be remiss... Well, we both would be if we did mention Hamill, too, in the animated series.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's got to be one of the best iterations of the character, because they never fully commit to his origin either. They hint at it, I think, a couple times, and also Hamill's just got a great voice and laugh for that character.
The best fucking...
I would argue one of the best iterations of the character is in the Arkham games, like Arkham Knight, Arkham City, Arkham Asylum. I still have to play Arkham Knight, but I definitely loved City and Asylum.
I was hoping you would bring up the Arkham games because I've replayed these games probably 500 times each. Like the Joker in these games is like, like I think in terms of just like everything. They get everything about him right. They do everything correctly. Like, and he's also in the... Oh,
Blind Dog, what you got? Blind Dog, come here. Cassie, what you thinking about the Arkham Asylum games? Do you... Are you saying that Arkham Asylum is too linear and that you think Arkham City is where it really came into its own?
I think she is.
Yeah, I'll take her silence as agreement. Yeah. Really profound thoughts.
Wow.
Well, I do agree the boss battles are better in Asylum though, Cassie.
That is very true. Yeah. Good job, Cassie.
Yeah. Thanks. Always so thoughtful. This dog.
It was. She is. I forgot what I was even on about, but just like what you were saying about how his like past is like multiple choice. They still do that in the Arkham games. Like it's not like you see little glimpses of each kind of like backstory that he has because they talk about Jack White. Jack White is an old alias for the Joker, and in the Arkham games, he basically ordered a bunch of. There was something that they found some like documents or something at some point in the game that were signed under Jack White. It was in Arkham Asylum when he was emailing Dr. Penny Young under Jack White. He's like, oh, that's an old alias. Well, if you remember, I'm pretty sure Jack White was the name of Jack Nicholson's Joker in Tim Burton's Batman.
It's actually a weird name. It's Jack Napier.
Jack Napier? Okay, well, it's Jack, all right?
Jack is usually part of it, which is what Joker did kind of surprise me. It's like Arthur. I'm like, oh, we really are going for our own thing this time. Like,
Arthur Fleck.
We're not going to be seeing any bit of the other origin story. Jack Napier. I want to check that. Yeah. So Jack Napier is the name of him in
Gotham.
In Gotham and in the Tim Burton movie, though. So I guess Gotham's nodding to it. Gotham, I never did see, but a lot of people say that kid gave a pretty good take on the Joker. And he's in the Star Wars video game that I love so much. It's Fallen Republic or Fallen Order. Jedi Fallen Order. He's the main character in that game, and he's the Joker on Gotham. I hear Gotham is kind of fun, but it's also bad.
I watched the first season, and it's fun but bad,
Yeah.
So I didn't watch the rest of it. I wanted to, though. I remember I would watch an episode. I watched it when it aired on TV, so like every week I'd wait for the newest episode and watch it, and it was... Yeah.
That's pretty fun when that's an event. I remember watching The Flash Season 1 and really loving that storyline as it developed across like 20 episodes, but then every other season it's like, oh wow, that's a really long time, and also you suck too much. Kind of like DC to make those CW shows. Anyway, Joker, that's the tie-in. Joker's a character at DC. I feel like we've said a lot that we really like about the character, but can we get into some things that maybe I think are fundamentally to the character's discredit or a disadvantage? I know that he's one of the most beloved villains of all time, and people are usually only praising that character. But I do think there are some flaws that exist that will always hinder the Joker, and it's mainly like that he has to be crazy all the time.
Yeah.
I know that's just like such a pivotal part of the character. You can't have him not
He's
be
a psychopath,
crazy.
yeah.
But like I do feel like that's a large part of what hinders Joker 2019 is that, you know, we're not allowed any moments to see this character sober and you know, clear thinking, or at least I don't think that character's clear thinking. If you ask an incel, you might maybe hear something different.
Right.
But you know, I think that in the stories then that are brought up, you know, the Joker's always going to have to take things to kind of an irrational extreme. And I think that's a flaw of the character, is that some people might think he's deep, but I think that he'll always seem kind of childish in
Right.
my eyes because he's always very wrong.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I don't know, and he's very extremified, and I think that this is where other Batman villains get more room to play. Like, I'm very curious to see the Riddler in the new Batman movie
Reeves Batman.
because I think, like, you know, obviously he'll probably be very bad, but I would like to see someone who's, you know, a bit more intelligent and who can, you know, reason a little bit more with Batman. Like, I feel like with the Joker, it always does come down to, because I'm crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. That is sort of like a flaw that I think only in very good Batman media does a bigger reason other than I'm crazy come out of the Joker for him to do what he does. And I would cite the Arkham games as sort of an example of that. Arkham City, pretty much, / Arkham Knight. There's a little bit of that bleeding into Arkham Knight. But what you were saying about the Riddler, I mean, who better to match? I mean... well, let me say it like this. All right, there's a reason why all the Batman villains are so popular and so great. It's because each of them have a core flaw, and Batman somehow hinders their goals completely. So for the Riddler is very intelligent, or he likes to think he's very intelligent, and he is intelligent for the most part.
He's got all those riddles, by God.
Exactly. But Batman is also known, and I'm so glad that I think Matt Reeves pointed this out in an interview, that his new Batman movie would focus on him being the world's greatest detective. Batman started out in Detective Comics. His other known name is he's the world's greatest detective, and that is a part of Batman that gets ignored a lot in favor of the brawn side of him. But I think Riddler is challenged by Batman because Batman's as smart or even smarter than the Riddler, and that kind of challenges him. You got Mr. Freeze, his wife Nora, she's a block of fucking ice, and he needs to unfreeze her because he loves her, but the technology he harnesses is too dangerous, and obviously Batman takes notice. Like, these are villains with obviously very clear intentions, one core flaw, and that Batman can, you know, bash with. Joker, his core flaw is literally that he's a psychopath and that he just kills seemingly at random. So there's always that point for me where I'm like, okay, Joker's a fun villain and all, but because his backstory is so multiple choice, and because in every iteration of him his motives are really always because he's crazy or they're a little bit changed. There's nothing, you know, like with every version of other villains, there's always that one thing. Like with Mr. Freeze, it's always Nora. With the Riddler, it's always his ego and his like brains that has to match Batman. With, you know, I don't know, think of another villain, Scarecrow. It's all about fear.
Scarecrow, yeah.
You know, but with the Joker, it's always something different. So there's always that inconsistency with his stories, is what I'm trying to say. The other villains are consistent. Joker is inconsistent. Really inconsistent when it comes to how well he's portrayed when it comes to like media of the Joker. But that's what I think is what I don't like about him, is that there's no one thing you can pick out of every iteration. That he wears a clown suit. He's always got clown makeup on.
Yeah,
the
he's
Joker.
always got clown makeup on and green hair, and usually the purple suit.
Yeah, usually, and you can always bet that he's gonna be insane. And it's
I think it just sets the character up to be either really obnoxious or, you know, riveting.
Yeah,
you know, there's no in between.
Right.
And I hate to say it because, you know, I respect Joaquin Phoenix a great deal, but this rewatch and this relook at the character and the elements I like about him, I gotta say that Joaquin Phoenix lands in the camp of obnoxious Jokers to me. Like, I hope that maybe Joaquin gets a chance to work with a different screenwriter and maybe explore the character more fully, like on screen, because I don't think it's his fault. I think I just don't care for what Todd Phillips had in mind for the character. So, I mean, it would be dope if he returned, though.
Oh, yeah.
The actor.
One thing I realized when rewatching this movie was that Joaquin absolutely kills it. He brings his A game, and he absolutely does not have to. If you see the type of films that Joaquin is normally in, him doing a Joker movie that directed by Todd fucking Phillips, he could definitely have just phoned that in.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He goes in and he gives his best fucking performance that he possibly can with what he's working with. And I will say I did enjoy his performance in the movie. I did not enjoy the screenplay, the direction. The thing that I think carried Joker for me is I think the color is really great. The color grading, and the score absolutely carries the film for me. And Joaquin Phoenix does an outstanding job. Everything else is null and fucking void. It's all annoying. But the score and Joaquin and the color, man, that's Joker for you. So add that up. It's about 1.5 stars. If you give a half a star for each thing I like about it, it's a 1.5 star movie for me. But yeah,
I said 2 stars on Letterboxd, and I feel like that is just Joaquin Phoenix alone. Like,
yeah,
it's like carrying the movie on his back. And I do feel frustrated though, because I can't say it's my favorite portrayal, because the words behind. I mean, the words that are coming from the actor's mouth as the character, I just don't love so much. But his performance is just so good. It's like, ugh, I wish I could say I liked it more, but he doesn't even land with, like, I would say that I'd rather watch Nicholson's take on the character as it currently is, or Hamill's, or, definitely Heath Ledger's. Even, like, the Under the Red Hood Joker was much better. Did you ever see that movie? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I fucking love that movie.
Yeah,
that's such a high bar.
I love that story though.
Yeah, the Jason Todd story.
It's so fucking good.
Man, well, we've certainly
we've talked about the Joker.
We did it, and now we have to have a new arc and a new purpose.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to help us find our life's purpose, just say it, and we'll probably latch onto it if it's decent, or maybe we'll just bullshit something.
If we think it's funny enough, we'll definitely just keep on it for a while.
Remember, this show ends on episode 250, so cherish it, whatever you throw out there.
Yeah, it better be good. Whatever you submit for our next memed episode. Indeed. Well. Thanks for listening for 50 episodes for a whole year. Here's to 150 more. And
now some just 2 off the cuff jokes. The first ones that we think of, since we're a couple of jokers.
Okay.
Ourself. Okay. I'll go first.
Okay.
So gorilla walks into a bar and orders a drink. The bartender is so stunned, and he's just wondering, like, when did gorillas learn how to speak? Is this the evolution of the species? Is this gorilla maybe just, like, somehow imitating the motor function of someone ordering a drink? This is incredible. This is amazing. I'm just going to see where this goes. So he takes the gorilla's $20 bill, and he gets to making a drink. And he starts thinking, this is the test. If the gorilla doesn't ask for any change back, he's just ordering blindly, whatever. So he brings the complete drink to the gorilla. The gorilla speaks again, says thanks. The bartender goes, oh, that's interesting. And he waits to see if the gorilla will call him out on the change. The gorilla is just sitting there, sipping, on his drink and everything. And finally the bartender can't take it. He says, so we don't get many gorillas around here. And the gorilla says, well, yeah, with $20 a drink, I can see why not.
That's pretty good.
I fucked it up real bad.
That's okay.
I'm not a joker. I'm gonna have to kill the host of the show unless he can tell a better joke.
I've got a joke. It's actually it is the killing joke.
Okay.
Maybe the audience hasn't heard it, but I think it's a pretty funny joke.
What's the joke?
Okay, it's the joke. It's there were these I think it was 3 guys in an insane asylum, and one day they decide that they're gonna bust out, and so they break they find a time right before bedtime. It's at night, right? And so they bust out of their cells and they escape up to the rooftop. They had grabbed a flashlight, the one flashlight out of a supply closet so they could see, and they were going to have to jump across the roofs to basically escape. They see freedom, but they have to make this really wide jump. And the first guy runs and just jumps straight over onto the next building, but he barely makes it. And the other guy says that he can't make that jump because he's got a bum leg. He says, I can't jump over that. And he says, well, what are we going to do? And the first guy that jumped over with the flashlight, he said, I got it. I'll shine the light over and make a bridge, and you can walk across the bridge of light. And he said, well, do you think I'm stupid? I know I'd get halfway across it and you just turn the light off. The only joke that made Batman laugh, people.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Just like the show. Da, 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 da. There's not gonna be the end credits this week. That's the end credits.
Oh, okay.
That's the song.
Okay.